Say something.
Hola.
Sasha.
Bonjour.
And Morgan.
What's up?
And we just got done watching Dr. Sleep. So an early preview, Dr. Sleep.
Oh no shit! When does this movie come out?
It comes out on the
November
8th.
See how
November 8th. We
Oh.
got early access, and this is going to be a full spoiler review. So if you have not seen the movie, put this on pause, go see it whenever it's out, and then you can come back and revisit. But don't.
Or if you're
Yeah.
into spoilers,
Or if-
and
yeah.
you, and
If
you
you're
don't
into
go to the
spoilers
movies
like
anymore,
Sasha-
and you just watch YouTube videos that spill their guts about the whole movie,
Then you're in the right place.
yeah.
So all right. So Miguel.
P.S. If you've read the book, I think you probably got a good idea of what happens. They might
But
have
I don't
changed
think
a
you do.
few
Like
things.
we have not read the book,
Yeah.
and so again, this is full spoiler. So this is this is the last warning. So if you haven't watched it, don't want spoilers, then exit now. But since we haven't read the book,
Yeah.
what I was talking to Miguel about in the car is that the end of this movie basically ends how the first one, The Shining, ended
in the book.
in the book.
Yeah.
Ah.
So the
yeah.
book ending was Jack in the boiler room and it blowing up and killing him. So
And Stanley Kubrick's he died out in the frozen.
he froze in the
thing.
maze.
In the maze.
So that's why I'm curious to know. I might do some research afterwards, but just to see how it actually ended.
Dr.
So-
Sleep.
Dr. Sleep,
Right.
the actual book. But Stephen King actually approved this novel. He's been talking it up on Twitter for weeks.
He approved the movie. You mean?
He approved the movie for
Yeah,
sure.
and it's legendary. I mean, it's beyond folklore now. How much Stephen King fucking hated The Shining,
The Kubrick version.
Yeah, Kubrick version. Yeah, he
so
hated it.
much. I mean, there's been like 2 made-for-TV remakes,
Yes.
and Stephen King, he joked about as bad as those were, I still liked him more than Kubrick's
Oh,
vision. He's
man.
never
No.
apologized for that. He hated The Shining so fucking much.
Yeah, so the director was Mike Flanagan, who has also done the movie Hush that is on Netflix that we
another
like
one
so
of my
much.
favorite movies in the last decade.
Oculus,
Haunting of Hill House. On
that
Netflix.
that series.
Very
He
original.
very
Yeah.
very popular. So he also helped rewrite it for the screen with Stephen King. So
It's a good mix. It ended up working out. I mean, I'll just say, on the superficial level, I really like this movie. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I expected the pendulum to swing either, yeah, that was a pretty good movie, or oh my god, what a fucking shit mill that was. No, it exceeded my expectations. I was never bored during this movie. How long was it?
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. It did not feel like 2.5 hours. That's one of the better things I can say about this movie. I thought I was
Yeah.
there for like a couple at the most, but no, I was never bored. Loved every minute of it. I thought it had a hell of an arc in it.
I think honestly that people are going to hate the movie.
Why?
I think that people are going to hate the movie because they think that it's going to involve the hotel more, and the fact that it doesn't show up until maybe 30 minutes into the movie. I think people will hate it for that reason.
30 minutes left, right?
Right. The 30 minutes that are left,
The last
it shows
act,
up.
yeah.
And this is more of a sequel to the book and not the movie. Now, they do pay homage to the movie, but they don't actually. This is like a direct sequel from the book. And there is. It takes more of the paranormal route, whereas in the movie it took the psychological route,
yeah.
and in the original book it was a paranormal
It's a
route.
much broader film. I mean, there's for the first 60 minutes of this movie, this is the only criticism I have so far of it. The movie tasks you with following all of the location jumps by throwing them on the screen. It's like Delaware, New Jersey,
New Hampshire.
Yeah. Ohio. It's like one after another, all in the span of like 30 to 40 minutes. I get why it did that. The exposition and the buildup of the story, the connection of all these characters and what they're all doing in their own character arcs, and the bringing them all together. That's great.
Like,
but this is a much broader movie.
Well,
than
they
The
did that
Shining.
in The Shining too. Like they had,
Monday,
Denver,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, times,
Mhm.
So I think that was just like something else that they were trying to pay homage to.
Yeah.
But also there was a lot of jumps. So I mean, if we didn't have that, then
Yeah.
Well, I mean, them
Thoroughly
being in different
confused.
parts of the country was one of the more important tropes of the movie, that they were so impressed with this little girl that she's able to have her psychic abilities across the country.
Yes.
And that was such an important trope of the movie. The movie opens up, we don't know what these things are. We know Ewan McGregor is a psychic. He has a shining. We know that there is a kid he's going to come close to that has the abilities at least as good as his. And there are these things. We don't know if they're ghosts. We don't know if they're
Demons.
Well,
demons, if they're immortals, what the fuck they are.
and Ewan McGregor plays the adult
Danny
version
Torrance.
of Danny
The adult
Torrance
version of Danny
from the
Torrance.
original movie.
I was expecting, and I wasn't disappointed. I was expecting them to not show anything that happened right after the Shining ending, and just like the movie opens up,
And that
it's
was
35
fun.
years later.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was super fun that we got to see literally what happened right after we
Little
left the
bits and
hotel.
pieces. Yep.
The
Yes.
actress that plays Shelley Duvall's character was spot on.
And her acting and movements, the way.
Yes.
Who was it that said the analogy? She looked like a Muppet. Was that
I think that was Jeff.
Jeff.
Heather,
yeah.
yeah, because Shelley Duvall in the original, bless her heart, she did look like a wailing, flailing Muppet. Because she was so scrawny.
She was very animated too, facially animated, and of course she has a very specific look to her with her teeth and she
Her
had
big
buck
eyes
teeth,
and-
big
Yeah.
eyes.
Skinny, super skinny.
Super
Stanley
skinny, yeah.
Kubrick terrorized her on the set.
Yeah,
intentionally,
absolutely.
and just emotionally traumatized her so that she could regress into this battered woman as the
Yeah.
movie evolved.
Like this really meek character.
Yes. So I think, and there's a lot of that in this movie. There's a lot of folks trying to recreate the characters from The Shining. We'll get into it as our spoiler furthers, but she did, in my opinion, the best job out of the characters reprising roles from The Shining.
She absolutely did. I mean, the small part that she had, I think she was absolutely amazing. But yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that's what in the premise of the movie in the first act. What we basically get is we know Ewan McGregor is the adult version of that little boy. We basically know that there's another kid out there, it's just like him, he's going to connect with, and there are these things that basically prey on people who shine, who prey on kids at that, because that's when they're vulnerable, and that's when it's like the venom of a snake, and when it's in
what did they call it? The stuff that came out of them?
Steam is what they called it.
Steam, that's it.
Yeah.
Steam.
There's basically sucking the life out of these poor kids who are also psychic or have the shine, like our protagonist.
Which the antagonist of the movie is played by Rebecca Ferguson, who we really haven't seen play that kind of role.
We've
So
seen her play a tough girl, the hot girl,
Play a
like in
villain.
Mission Impossible, but we've never seen her play a villain. To say the fucking least, is she a villain in this movie? I mean, she's a
Yeah.
monster.
She's great.
I love she had her accent.
I'm in love.
Do you hear her accent did kind of slip?
Well, yeah, no, definitely. I think that was the point that they
I
were
liked the
they're supposed to
accent
be
slip.
ambiguous. Yeah.
Yeah, because one of them she sounded Welsh.
I think she's Australian or
let me
she's
look
from
it
like
up.
a Norwegian country, I think.
she's Scandinavian. Okay.
Scandinavian.
Maybe, but in the movie, there's
Scandinavian.
times when she sounded like she was from Wales, and there's other times
Yeah,
she sounded
she's
like
from
she
Sweden.
was from like
Yeah, she reminded me
West
a little
Virginia,
bit of
twang.
Alessandra the Red Witch.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Oh, yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, That sounds really
Well, I
familiar.
got a very like traveling circus carny
Gypsy.
vibe from the whole caravan.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely-
Stephen
folks.
King has a thing about gypsies, as we saw not only here but in fucking Thinner. Like
Oh,
he's
yeah.
terrified
Yeah.
of gypsies.
Yeah. It kind
I'll
of.
always remember that gypsy from Thinner.
White man from town.
Are you a big fan of? You're a big fan of X Files, yes?
Oh, yeah,
You remember the X Files where the vampires? That's how they got around, was in Winnebago's. and they would just
Oh,
go-
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
see.
I thought there were some things there because these creatures are a lot like vampires, other than they can be around in the day, but they really
Yeah.
only feed on the
adrenaline,
steam and
the steam of kids,
and they live a really long
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
Basically, they're shines, they're psychics themselves who figured out the secret of immortality is to feed off of these other poor people who are
And,
also
yeah.
shining.
And basically, like the younger, the better, because that's whenever their
It's
shine is more
pure.
prominent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before
pure,
the world gets to them, as is hinted later on, where Rebecca Ferguson's character has the showdown with Danny, and she says, "You're not as your shine isn't the way that it was as a kid, and you've lost a bit of it." So
Tastes like
Yeah.
whiskey.
That was
Right, yeah.
awesome.
Old and bitter.
Well, and
That
even
was cool.
well, and even before that, the Crow, he said that there's just not as much out there anymore because we got to get to her before her parents find out, and they put her somewhere.
On
They
medication,
put her on
yeah.
medication and give her pills. So it's really just adapted to
really
how.
cool stuff to contemplate.
Yeah,
There's-
it's crazy.
There's so many tropes and things that this movie plays with that are really amazing because you have these people with different psychic powers. They're all shiners, and they all have different powers to different extents. We get to see them leave the body,
remote viewing, astral projection,
Mhm.
telekinesis,
Pusher, yeah.
all the fun things that we think about would be cool in writing a movie about people who are psychic. We get
all
to see
in this
it.
movie.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
in this movie, and
Mhm.
it's so much fun to watch. And there's so many fun things to play with that they just fucking nail. I mean,
Yes.
they really stick the landing with all the things you can do with with psychics.
For sure.
But the scene, did anyone else cringe? I've watched horror movies for 30 years. I've watched horror movies more than I should ever started watching when I was a little kid. This is one of the roughest scenes I've ever watched. Is when they kidnap one of the kids as a shiner. They tie him down. And
That was a brutal scene.
That was awful.
The most brutal scene. They tie this kid down and they murder him slowly to steal his shine or his life force.
Yeah.
Holy
that kid
God, that
was
was
played
rough.
by Jacob Tremblay, who was from Room
And I
with
didn't-
Brie
I
Larson
didn't
and Good
recognize
Boys
him.
here out
I did
recently.
not
Yeah.
recognize him.
That was that little scene that he had, man. That was
the turning
awful.
point in the movie,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because the build-up, the first hour was pretty much behind us. We had the story, and then this is that moment where I think I felt the same thing you did, Miguel. This could go either way.
Yeah.
This could be really good, and this could be a shit show.
Yeah.
And then that scene happens, and you're like, oh, okay, that just happened. I'm in now because it makes you hate the antagonists more than you did prior.
Made me nauseous.
Yeah.
Well, their whole thing is to instill fear as much as possible, so that way they get more of the steam.
Yeah.
And so they just let it. They just let that fear ride. It was.
I
that
mean,
was a
it
crazy
was
scene.
completely unapologetic, unadulterated. The way that they fed on this kid, it reminded you of like hyenas in the jungle. When you see this pride of lions or hyenas, basically preying on like a cub or something.
There's a lot, and that's a dark road to go down because there's a lot of stuff that you wonder. This isn't the place to get into it, but you wonder about like the mind of pedophiles, and all that, and what could lead you to do something like that to a child.
Yeah.
And there's some dark like connections that this movie could allow you to make and say some of these people may think that it's
okay.
or that it gives you access to this realm of power that is not achievable unless you prey on children. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that this movie wasn't scared to talk about that you would see maybe one or two movies in the past tackle one bit at a time, like all the psychic abilities that, you have Firestarter, for another Stephen King book, but it is just like it's one-dimensional with telekinesis and the power of the mind and starting fires. Carrie as well. It's very one-dimensional. This is like a hybridization of all.
This is multi-dimensional.
Those,
It's all the fun tropes and interesting things that I got from many Stephen King books put into one book and then one movie that was done so well. I mean, I think that this movie didn't just stick the landing on the ending. I think it stuck the landing when it comes to playing with all those tropes that I think fascinate us. They really killed it. And I'm right now I'm trying to think of what the worst part of the movie is.
The ending, the very last scene.
I love that last scene. Oh no, not the very last scene. It was a South Park kind of.
Oh yeah, that old bitch again.
God, she kept
but I was like, I know, I was telling,
like the least scary part of the movie, and she's meant to be like scary.
Yeah, like that. I was telling Miguel, I was like I get why they put it in there just to show, like, just because the building is now destroyed, the hotel is now destroyed.
Doesn't mean that those things.
It doesn't mean that. And so she's got to learn to like put them in a box and get it over with. But
and people don't have context to what we're saying when we say that bitch. We're talking about the old lady in the tub
in 237.
In room 237. She pops up multiple times in it. The first or second time, it's scary. This third or fourth, it becomes comedic.
Yeah, the very last scene, it's funny. Like, I laughed. I was like, at the beginning of the movie, I was like, oh no, this bitch is back. She was scary last time. And now, like, the very end, I was like, oh, get her.
She keeps showing up in the fucking tub naked, like for the fourth or fifth time. You're like, it feels like a South Park episode.
I've seen so much old lady boob.
Old lady boob
because
and bush.
we watched The Shining over the last 2 days, and so she was fresh in my mind.
There.
Oh yeah, so it was.
Tell us, Morgan.
It was
For those who were around then, yeah.
Yeah,
man. I'm just saying, like. Yeah, it was. I think that we could have had a different last 5 seconds of the movie.
Yeah.
Without that old bitch in the tub showing up again, which made us. The audience was cracking up when they showed her again by that point. But the scene where she just kind of says goodbye to Ewan McGregor's character.
Well, she like.
God, so good.
Her projection of Danny is Danny's projection of Dick in the
Dick
movie.
O'Halloran, yeah.
Dick O'Halloran.
Yeah,
people don't know.
This is a hierarchical. This is like a hierarchical system of passing the sort of manual, training manual of how to use the shine.
Yeah.
And that's what I really dug about this movie. Is it added context to The Shining a little bit?
Yeah.
And I mean, when you watch The Shining for the first time and you see this kid on the tour of the hotel, and O'Halloran, is it Dick or Doc? O'Halloran.
Doc is a little boy. Dick is the old.
Oh
old
yeah,
guy.
Doc's
Yeah.
the nickname, sure. So it's Dick O'Halloran who explains to him, and he sits down with him at one of the kitchen tables
Over
and,
ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah, over
Yeah.
ice cream, and they talk about his powers there for the first time. You get to see a little bit of that relationship mature and extend itself, because we didn't get a ton of it in The Shining.
No.
And that's really cool. And then we get to see it transcend that, and then you get 35-year-old Ewan McGregor who, like he said, would pass down his knowledge to someone and introduce the girl. What's her name in this
Abra?
movie? Yeah, Abra.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love that name too, by the way.
great
Nah,
name.
I
She
don't
did a
like
good job
the
too.
name.
The
Yeah, it's a
actress who played
terrible
Abra.
name.
Yeah, she was really good.
She was
But
amazing.
going back to Dick really quick, he actually in the Shining novel did not die, and so they had to. That's another thing where I'm like, I'm really interested. I have the book Doctor Sleep. I didn't have The Shining, so I never read Doctor Sleep.
You have Dr. Sleep?
I do have Doctor
Son.
Sleep on my Kindle.
That's where the prequel. That's where there's money there
And
for
now-
a prequel with Dick O'Halloran's journey, because he's got The Shining. Right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
He has The Shining.
he has The
And he's been
Shining.
at the hotel for
and
Years.
X amount of years. I want to hear his stories. I want to.
that'd be dope.
Yeah.
But just so I think that was their way of figuring out how they were going to put his character back, because he was a very integral part of the Doctor Sleep novel. And so because they killed him off in the movie, they got to make it make sense for this new movie.
Well,
Sure.
it worked. The way they did it was arguably better.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that the way he was able
He's
to
a
connect with
spirit.
Ewan McGregor, he's,
Yeah.
he's like Yoda, you know.
Mhm.
He's still talking even though
Let's
he's dead.
see.
passed on.
Abra was played by Kaylee Curran.
God, kid was so good.
Yeah, she was.
She was
Mhm.
amazing. She was believable. You have a lot of kid actors who they're cute and they're funny. And, you know,
She was assertive too. And
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah,
very-
she was very aggressive.
She stood out with all those heavy hitters, like in the
she held
in the
her own
book.
with
She did, man.
She was great.
Ewan McGregor and Rebecca Ferguson. And
She was-
Kevin Richardson from the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, man.
Kevin Richardson was not in this movie,
Just some
so
look
the,
like-
the crow
You
looked like
look
him.
out for the main antagonist, the main villain sidekick. Her right hand man was a guy that Sasha and Maggie swear looks like one of the fuckers from Backstreet Boys.
Listen,
Kevin.
he does. That's why I
30
said
years later,
Kevin.
30 years
Yeah.
later.
He hasn't gotten enough shine.
So, oh,
He kind of did in the eyes. Now that I think about it, he really did.
No, it wasn't just that. It was the long hippie hair.
The long hippie hair, the eyes,
Yeah.
the eyebrows, strong cheekbones.
Crow Daddy. He
mean-
was Zahn McClarnon.
All right, he was cool too. I mean,
Yeah, he was fun.
Actually, I know this guy. He's a really good Native American actor. He's
Yeah.
But
And
Yeah.
He's in Westworld for like 6 episodes.
that's where I saw
Did
him.
he
Son of a
play
bitch.
one of the?
I believe so.
Okay.
I got to give Mike Flanagan his props. This is a 550-page book, 530 something. It's in that
God
range,
Almighty.
and it's 2.5 hour movie. And it felt another criticism that I had. I love the movie, by the way, but a criticism that I had is that it did feel choppy at times with the amount of what he was trying to get across in one scene. There's a lot of dense material that I feel like it was a challenge for him to pick apart everything that he wanted to incorporate from the novel into this movie. And it does feel packed with a lot of stuff, like not Easter eggs or anything, just a lot of material, a lot of characters that you have to introduce. I mean, an example of this is one of the better supporting actors, in my opinion, and he's great in a lot of roles. Bruce Greenwood's in this movie for like
5 seconds.
5 minutes, and I was expecting him to be he's
Which
the
one's
more
doctor
prominent?
at the Alcoholics Anonymous with the
Oh
watch.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. Where the
Yeah.
fuck did he go?
Exactly. So there's just a lot of. It felt like a balancing act as a director for the majority of this movie to try and get as much of the novel into it, because he knew that it mattered to the story.
Mhm.
And I could see it. It bled through the screen, and it felt heavy, too heavy at times for a 2.5 hour big budget.
I didn't really get that
movie.
feeling at all. I thought it
Yeah.
flowed really well, and I didn't even realize it was 2.5 hours.
That's what I was saying earlier. Is that it's a good movie whenever it doesn't feel as long as the movie actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never bored.
my only complaint was whenever Abra got into Rose's head, and she was looking through stuff, they're like,
Cool
well, what'd you see?
scenes.
What'd you see? We
And
never
there was-
really went anywhere
yeah.
with what she saw in her head. So that was the only thing that I
It
was
a
like,
missed opportunity.
yeah, I feel like that was a really missed
Some
opportunity.
added-
But so yeah, that was my only complaint about it. Really, that really stood out.
You want to talk about what would be an interesting prequel? Her, as much as
Rose,
Rosie.
Rose the Hat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, Rose
where
the Hat
the
would be great.
fuck
Well, I
did
mean,
she
she's
come
been
from?
alive for thousands of years.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why?
Lives,
Her
so,
and
yeah.
the
And she's the prettiest one, remember?
yeah.
Yes,
Of whatever she is.
vampires, Illuminati, whatever they are.
Yeah, one thing I liked about this movie, one of the commonalities, I know this sounds really fucking random, one of the commonalities that has something like with the Lost Boys is that you have these interesting group of characters who all seem like they have a really, really interesting background. And they're utilized, I think, for the most part, really well. You just look at them, you're like, where the hell did they come from? Where did he
Yeah.
get picked up?
Yeah.
Right.
We got to see one of them with the 15-year-old girl.
Well,
yeah,
snake
I
bite.
love that
Snake bite, yeah.
they showed that. Yeah,
That was
love
dope.
That they showed their recruiting system. There was a lot of context for who all of the characters were that was added on, and just like the whole movement, and they even had names for the type of person that she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pusher.
She's a pusher.
Yeah, she was a pusher.
And
The type of shine you are. We haven't met a pusher
they
like
didn't
this
have
in a while.
shine, or she didn't.
Well,
They were psychic.
You assume
too.
they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Because
it's
they're
a
getting
different.
it,
It's
they're-
a different
they're getting
form
in your
of
head,
it.
though. I mean,
That's another thing
it's
that's
kind
really
of like
not
the
made
Force.
clear.
They all have the Force. They just choose to use the dark side.
Kind of, because I mean,
Okay.
they're because
Well-
they said they're. Do we make her an asset or is she food?
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the very end, whenever she's Rose is in the maze with Abra, she's like, I used to be like you, and then I figured out that I can live longer, and then we all have a dark side. So it's like I think she had a shine at one time, but now it's used in a different way.
Yeah, because they do talk. They use the word like convert. They say,
Yeah,
should we
like
convert
converted.
her?
So that's actually a really good analogy, the whole dark side thing,
Yeah.
because they're not like the rest of they're victims.
No, yeah.
There's something worse and dark.
Yeah.
No, but I love the villains in this movie because I love to hate them.
Yeah,
After they
Oh, they're-
kill that kid in the first act, the whole
the whole thing
my
hates him.
existence-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
my
they-
existence for the next 2 hours is
I
seeing
liked
them
them
suffer.
more.
Okay.
Well, it's like
I mean,
they
You want your villains to be bad, right?
Yes.
You want your
Yes.
villains to
Like, we
to
didn't-
be evil, not.
and they didn't want us to empathize with them.
No,
and
not
I
at all.
appreciated that
Yeah,
because I
it
don't
was
want to
good.
empathize with all the fucking villains. Like,
No.
sorry, Joker.
But they did that from the onset because you saw this sweet little girl in the opening scene at a
Mhm.
camping site in 1980.
I love that it was Florida in the 1980s, where all the serial killers
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of that
are
going
are
on.
hunting
Yep.
all at the same time. That was pretty good. Now,
That
the-
I thought that scene was leading somewhere completely different. I thought the little girl was going to play with like the younger Danny, and we are going to be introduced to what happened to them
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they were going to
Killer.
kill her. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit.
That was such a scary scene that was done so well too, is because you see the little girl's walking by the lake, and you see this girl who looks just like a hippie. She looks like a benevolent figure. She doesn't look like anything menacing. She looks
She's like
some,
6. She's
Yeah.
6 or 7.
I'm talking about the lady.
Oh,
she meets.
Rose.
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 Who's,
Rose, yeah.
again played by Rebecca Ferguson. Is that her name?
yeah.
Yeah, Rebecca
Okay.
Ferguson.
So you see her with a little top hat. She looks like one of these hippies you see in a fucking Stevie Nicks video or
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
And she's like, she's gonna mentor this little girl. Oh fuck, wait, what's happening? And like
bad.
the little girl looks up, and there's like these things walking
Ominous,
towards her
yeah.
with their eyes
Ominous
glowing. And you're
forces,
like,
yeah.
shit. That was such a scary and well done
It was.
scene, and it helps set the tone, or we think, until we actually see the graphic killing of some freaking kid. My existence for the next 2 hours was determined to see these fuckers die,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that's what it was for the rest of the movie. And the way they killed them, the way they took them out,
Gratifying.
was very gratifying, and it was like, it's
Absolutely.
how I would have done it. It's
Visceral.
it's like we're literally hunting these fuckers. They trap them and they shoot them
yeah.
like
Yeah.
rabid dogs or hyenas.
Another shout out to another good supporting actor in this movie. Cliff Curtis plays the buddy of Ewan McGregor, who unfortunately meets his demise at that
Oh,
shootout.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good
that
too.
was rough to watch.
It was
yeah.
sad, but it you believed it.
Yeah.
How he was taken out.
All right. Well, we got your overall opinion of
Yeah.
it. So, Sasha, what is your?
For me, this is a solid 7.5 out of 10. I think it goes up on second viewing, and maybe even like back-to-back viewing of Shining in this. But you don't. You said coming out of this theater, you don't need to see The Shining to.
You don't.
Get
No.
this
And if
movie.
you do it, I think it throws up a couple of other questions, like
Which is they're good questions.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure I don't think the hotel shut down after all that happened.
I would expect them to.
I thought that thing
After this-
reopened
after that
but I'd
second
have to.
murder. I mean, fuck.
So
Yeah.
think about this. I thought about this. Maybe you guys can help me out a little bit. You remember the end of The Shining when they pan into the portrait and you see Jack Nicholson at the party.
Yeah, with the rest
1921.
of them.
So was Jack Nicholson one of those guys that just stayed alive throughout the years and years, and he was trying to kill his son the whole time to absorb his shine?
That's interesting.
Yeah, that brings a whole different element into it.
But I know. I think that he died there, so his spirit was trapped there, which is what that painting would imply.
Okay.
But it's all
Yeah.
up to interpretation.
yeah.
Fuck knows.
Yeah, like that. I think there's a lot of things that I watched. Let's talk about reincarnation, and you're just, you're reincarnated, and you just went back there because it's a dark place, and whenever you die violently and reincarnated, you're going to be drawn back to that place, and you're
So
just
he lived
in
there
that
in the
cycle.
past. Is what
Yeah.
you're saying his character did. That's very interesting. I didn't
Because
think about that.
in The Shining, the other groundskeeper, whenever they were in the bathroom, they're like, "You were always the groundskeeper. Like you were always,
Yeah.
you were always the
Ooh,
keeper."
That's interesting.
And so I think he just keeps coming. I think he just keeps coming back.
And
And
reiterations of himself. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's very interesting. So you said 7.5 out of 10?
I go 7.5 out of 10. I like to get real scrupulous with it and detailed.
Mhm.
Maybe 7.75.
like, well,
course.
if you're explaining it to like Trent, for instance, like would you tell him?
Shout-outs to Trent.
Shout out Trent. Like would you tell him like, hey, you got to go see it, pay full price to go see it, a matinee viewing? This is how we kind of rate a rating around. Wait for Netflix, wait for it to come out.
Oh man, that's a tough
HBO.
question. I don't think that I gained anything by experiencing this movie theatrically that I wouldn't have gotten sitting at home watching it. It wasn't. It's not a scary movie or by any means, but it's good enough to pay the full price ticket and go see as a movie. I just don't know if you need to. You can see it at home and enjoy it just as much. But yeah, that's. I knew you were going to ask me that question. I don't have the right answer for it.
Well, you, Morgan.
I would say about 8 out of 10. I really like the movie a whole lot. I would definitely recommend people paying full price to go see it. Even though I'm not somebody that goes to the movies all the time, I don't regret spending money to go see this movie.
Yeah.
The
I
only
regret
thing,
bringing my energy drink in.
yeah, you should. But the only thing I really didn't like, or that I thought we could have done without, is I don't think we needed to end back at the hotel. There's a little bit that they could have cut out, and that's the scenes of them driving to Colorado. The whole time they're driving through cornfields, and you can see the mountains in the background there. I just kept thinking about Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, the Aspen
Yeah,
scenes?
John Denver's full of shit, man. I thought of that same thing when there's like,
Big gulps, huh? Well,
Yeah.
see you later. That's all I could think of when they were stopped getting gas. I was
Yeah.
like, damn it, it's not at a
expect to
7-Eleven.
see a shaggy dog the van with them.
And another shout out to Mike Flanagan, because he's been on my radar a while, ever since Oculus, I think, because that movie scared the shit out of me, and I love the way it ended.
Really?
It wasn't a happy ending. It was
No,
a dark, sinister ending. And he's got this style about his movies, which all of the characters and all of the spirits have a very bluish hue to their eyes, and they send chills up your spine the first couple times you encounter them. And there's some scenes in this movie that are startling visually, like the scene specifically with the little girl where she's Silent Hill-esque and she's got no eyes.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. I really think he paid homage to The Shining in several ways that are going to be fun to uncover later on as we see this movie more and as the reviews come out once everybody else gets to see the movie.
Yeah.
But the transitions from scene to scene were exactly how Kubrick did The Shining. They were the same fade, the same transition.
He was old school.
Yes, it was very just well put together. from a visual standpoint. So yeah, I mean, Mike Flanagan he's like the Denis Villeneuve of horror.
Oh, come on.
I think that's a little.
Who
far.
else do we have right now in terms of horror?
He's the cream
James
of the
Wan.
crop.
And James.
Yeah, Aquaman was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking horror movie. That's not a horror movie. So
James Wan is a very interesting figure to me because he'll make The Conjuring,
okay, so
but then he'll make goddamn Aquaman.
all right, so pause on that. The book has a very, very different ending.
Whoa.
So the whole cult, basically what we were talking about, that is headed by Rebecca Ferguson, is called the True Knot. So they are actually, their campsite is on top of where the Overlook Hotel once stood. And so they go there to basically kill them all, of course. So they don't just go there so that way they can free their demons. They go there because they're actually there. And with the help of Jack Torrance, the projection of him, the dad, Jack Nicholson.
Jack
Oh,
Nicholson,
okay.
They get into Danny, Jack, and Rose, or no, I'm sorry, not Rose, but Abra has like this long, it just says long psychic struggle, and they push her off the observation platform to her death.
So
the
kill
platform, no, they kill Rose. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So Jack, the bad guy, comes back as the good guy.
Comes back as the
Fucking
good
hate
guy.
it. I'm so glad they eliminated that.
Dan sees his father, waves goodbye, and they finally found peace. And it ends with, so Dan does not die in the novel. So Dan celebrates 15 years sobriety and attends Abra's 15th birthday. So she's actually much younger. Like, she's never fighting, apparently.
Sounds like an off day for Stephen King. Like, whenever he was thinking about, how do I wrap this fucking thing up?
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't mind Stephen King's sentimentalism, but that was literally contrived.
Yeah.
To have Jack be like, hey son, let's finish off this bad guy together, yeah?
Yeah. Sorry about traumatizing you as a 7-year-old
trying to kill you and your fucking mom.
Yeah.
30 years ago, yeah.
I'm back to help.
But I've been sober now since I've been dead.
Yeah, right. And that was a cool thing. So, I mean, we can't not talk about the reprisal, not by Jack Nicholson, by somebody completely new to the scene, but reprising the Jack Torrance role for a pretty brief moment, but still a pretty important one in this movie, where Danny is reintroduced into the Overlook, and he walks to the bar, and the bartender, instead of being Lloyd, is actually Jack, and they have that confrontation, and Jack tempts him with the alcohol. What did you guys think of? Do you have any criticism?
This is one of the, as much as I think I've joined people in talking shit about the whole CGI when it comes to, I don't like it when they do it with dead people. So I understand why they didn't do it with Shelley Duvall's. I kind of wish that they would have put Jack Nicholson's younger face on this actor.
Yeah.
Because it would have had a deeper effect on us, the audience. It would have been scary.
Yeah, and it would have been a memorable moment in not only this movie, but in like, whoa, I was not expecting that. Like,
it's a hell of a cameo, hell of a scary one. It would have had a deeper, for me personally, it would have had a deeper wow and shocking effect if they had been
to see him coming back down the halls with the axe again in this movie, because he has that scene where he's
walking up the stairs, or like just walking through the hallways with the axe.
Hey, maybe he can just bust another door open. Yay.
I didn't like.
Come on,
I didn't. I like that we didn't.
That they recasted Shelley Duvall's character and Jack Nicholson's character.
Well,
and all the other characters.
Well, they have to. They have to. You can't. They don't have scenes from 1980 that they can use about what happened after Danny. So they had to reprise those roles with somebody. I did not mind that they used a different actor for Jack Nicholson's character, and did not use CG on his face, because it always looks weird. I'm sorry, it does, and I think that would have taken away from the movie. So I'm perfectly fine with them not having.
The scene
that.
was a little weird though, because you're like, is this supposed to be Jack Nicholson or no? You know, that's so it was a little odd. It was a good scene, but I mean, it was odd.
It was odd because it wasn't Jack Nicholson, but it was trying to be the Jack Nicholson character.
Generations of us only know that character.
That whole scene, though, of Ewan McGregor walking down the hallway, walking into the gold room, and him sitting down, and even to the point where he grabbed his glass was an exact replica of that
was
whole
cool.
scene.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like just having to watch it like yesterday, so I was like, this is exact, like the setup is exactly the same, everything.
And that's what made the actor taking on the Nicholson role stand out that much more to me.
Yeah.
Because the setting's easy to recreate. It's just colors, it's palettes, it's furniture, it's deterioration of the hotel doors in the rooms. But then you get to the bar and you're almost expecting Jack Nicholson or a CGI version, like Miguel said. I mean, they did it with Gemini Man to a decent degree, I guess, even though that movie sucks from what I hear. I haven't seen it. But I told you that was 100% Will Smith CGI, the younger version
which
of him.
is really impressive because I was under the impression that it was Will Smith. They just made him look younger, like they did with Mike Douglas in the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But the fact that that's actually 100% CGI shows how far we've come from even Rogue One.
Yes.
Because we've shit, as much as I absolutely love and adore Rogue One, I wasn't crazy about the CGI Princess Leia at the end. We've come a long way since then. I think that would have been something to take advantage of.
In the preview of this movie, we saw the Jim Carrey deepfake of The Shining.
Right.
That looks pretty fucking real.
It did look very real, but it was.
So then just deepfake us with Jack Nicholson.
See, I was fine with that deepfake Jack Nicholson, but that's just me. I liked that it was a profile. Like you really didn't see his whole face the whole time, because I feel like this isn't about Jack. This is
Danny's character. It's Danny's story.
And I really, in this whole movie, Danny is struggling with alcohol abuse and trying to stay sober and stuff. And I really like that how the whole time he never took a drink, which in a lot of movies that deal with substance abuse, you always see them like kind of give in at least a little bit. So that was something that I just wanted to put out there, that I thought it was nice that they didn't have him go in.
There were so many levels to this movie, and one of them, some of the undertones were about addiction and sobriety. I mean, we saw whenever we meet Ewan McGregor's character, Danny, as an adult, and he's living on the fucking street.
He's homeless, and
he's a drunk. He's homeless. He's a train wreck. And then we get to see this nice little arc of him cleaning himself up before he gets in touch with this kid. So that in itself was awesome to watch.
And we also get the 8 years later. Like we missed the missed the growth a lot.
We did,
but we do get hints of him just definitely cleaning up and becoming a better person.
Yeah,
and even better when he meets this kid that he needs to provide some tutelage and save.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, 3.5 stars out of 4. I'm very comfortable saying 8.5 out of 10.
Nice.
And
that's a lot of ratings. Go with our rating. What's our rating?
Unofficially, our rating. I would say full price in a second. I mean, I'm probably going to see this again. I'm probably going to take some friends from work, try to get their opinions on it. But in the next couple of weeks, I probably am going to see it again. So yeah, to say the least, full price for me.
I would also say full price. But I think it's funny. We all basically have full price. Sasha, you're kind of teetering.
I mean, if you're a fan of psychological horror movie, full price, go see it in theaters. I think, like you opened up with, some people will be disappointed because they'll be expecting this to be a balls to the wall horror movie or more in tune with what The Shining was, and it's a broader scope. It goes across the country. There's road trips.
I like whenever we were leaving the theater, we were waiting for. As I was waiting for everybody to come out of the bathroom. I heard a lot of people that came out that were like, "God, this sucked," or like, Anne was like, "It was fine. It wasn't a big deal." Like, I didn't hear like a lot of good feedback.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like bits of conversations that I was able to hear.
People in front of us,
I think,
we were talking about, hey, that was cool. You want to take your mom to see it? So there was a couple of people that liked it, but there was a lot of people who are just like,
I think that especially after watching The Shining. Like I wanted to, because I hadn't seen it in years, so I really wanted to make sure I watched it so it's fresh in my mind. And you really didn't have to watch it before going into it, and I don't think that people are going to like that at all. So, Denise was one. Denise, she loves The Shining. She said she watched it several times, and whenever you asked her opinion, she's like, I don't know.
I'll have to see it again, were her words actually.
So. I don't know. I'll talk to her about it tomorrow, and I'll give more info.
There was another Stephen King remake. Not that this is a remake, but there was another Stephen King horror movie this year, Pet Cemetery. I think this shits all over that.
Oh,
Pet
yo, my
Cemetery.
God.
Pet
no,
Cemetery
this is not-
shit all over itself. Anyways, that was a terrible. movie.
There's no absolute comparison because I remember leaving the theater pissed watching Pet
Yes.
Cemetery remake.
I was mad that I was
I
mad
spent
sitting
money.
there. Yeah, I was mad. I was sitting there watching Pet Cemetery. I was like, this is such trash. Like, how can you have so many good, like,
How do you have so many
you
good
have a
actors
great-
and cock it
you have a
up?
great cast. You have the book in front of you. Just fucking follow it. But the whole you laugh, but I'm like, you have
Oh, I
the
know.
whole source material. You have everything, but it's like it was straight trash. And
Yeah, they should be embarrassed.
Because I'm looking at the best psychological horror movies of 2019 according to the movies that just pop up first on Google and what gets the
don't
most
say
hits.
don't say that it's on there.
No, Midsommar is on there, so I know you guys hate to see that.
Yes.
Child's Play, Pet Cemetery,
Ugh.
It Chapter 2, Brightburn, The Curse of You take it away.
Llorona, the Curse of La Llorona.
Yeah.
You fucking what?
Oh my God,
stupid-
what
14-year-olds made this?
Well,
list?
this is just the Google results of the pictures.
Oh, that's
the
why
thumbnails
it's
that pop
just
up.
very
Oh
broad.
yeah, that's. I mean,
Now
they're
that
just
I think
naming
about
horror
it-
movies. Like that's all they're doing.
If I had to think about it, this might be the best psychological horror movie of the year so far.
Absolutely.
Yeah, by like leaps and bounds. Brightburn had its moments. I don't know if you guys have seen
So
that.
wait,
I
what do
love
you?
Brightburn.
What did you consider Midsommar?
Midsommar was definitely a psychological horror movie.
I
and
agree with
liked
that.
it a
Oh,
lot,
but you like Doctor Sleep more
I
than
like
that
Doctor
one.
Sleep more than Midsommar. Yes.
Okay.
Thank God.
Okay.
There's a 4-hour director's cut. I know you guys can't wait to see that.
Oh
watch
no,
that one together.
absolutely
You're not
We're
not.
gonna watch that together.
Absolutely
Hunker down, folks.
not.
That'll be our
God damn
hippie
it.
week.
No,
Oh my
The
God.
reason I'm
good.
so mad at Midsummer is because it was one of the most interesting looking movies, and the first act had me pulled in like
Listen.
anything I can't think of.
I don't want to go into it because we already have a video about it, and I'll link it in the description bar down below. But I'm not going into it again because I'm gonna get heated, and I don't want to talk about it. So
Fuck you, A24. You're always hit or miss. Man.
no, don't say fuck you A24.
No, there are because
So,
they
Yeah.
again,
Hit or miss.
again,
High
no,
Life
you're
sucked.
you're going into it too much. So, all right. Does anybody want to say anything else about the movie before we close out?
I think anything else. I mean, I was
2019's turning into decent in the last couple of months.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
It's
spent
all been jam packed.
We've spent the last few weeks bitching about 2019 has been really dry, and these last couple months have actually. I think all the good shit's coming out late.
Yes.
Yeah.
you
Like
know.
it usually does.
Yeah, but
Usually they got some summer movies though that are pretty good, but not
Yeah.
so
We've
much
Summer
had-
this year.
2019 was a piece of shit.
we've had big movies in the summer. We didn't have any
Yeah.
great ones.
Yeah.
you know.
They didn't want to go up against Endgame, so
Yeah,
okay.
and then Joker ended up kicking its ass. It's getting close to it. I think it's like
What is it?
Joker. The money
Oh,
that
Joker.
Joker has made is
nearing the
in-
$1 billion
nearly the
mark
$1 billion mark.
worldwide.
That is
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
We have another podcast about that I'll link in the description bar down below. I'm not going to keep talking about movies that we already have podcasts
All right.
for.
You go do the outro then.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. This is our spoiler review of the movie Dr. Sleep in theaters November 8th. Leave us a comment down below if you've seen it before. Like us, share it, subscribe to our channel so that we can stay updated with more content. We're going to be having a series coming up soon, decade series, best of all the years through 2001 through 2019. Or not 2001, that's a little too far. 2010 through 2019. We're not going back 20 years. So just 10 years, just 9 years. But thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.